This time last year, I was living in a really nice luxury apartment right on the outskirts of downtown Dallas. It was beautiful. The living room, the bedroom, my home office all had breathtaking downtown views. I'd get up and go into my office to work, and I had this view. I'd finish up, sit on the couch and watch TV, and I had this view. And then at night, I'd crawl into bed and look out the window, and I had this view. So late last year, when it came time to renew my lease, the apartment wanted to go up substantially on the monthly rent. So after thinking about it a few days, I decided it was time to move on. I had always wanted to do the downtown living thing, and I'd been fortunate enough to be presented with the opportunity to do it for almost 2 years. I weighed my options. I considered other apartment buildings away from downtown. I considered finding a roommate to share expenses with. I considered buying something. But then there's always the offer to move back home to my parents' house. I knew my mom would be ecstatic and thrilled to have me back. And so that's what I ended up doing, by choice. The problem was that I'd been used to living in a 1,500 square foot apartment, and I had a ton of furniture and stuff that I now needed to find a place for. Most of it went into storage. But now I was going to be moving into a space that was approximately 400 square feet. How in the world would I do that? Well, I did it. And I'll show you how. I'm Bobby, and I'm bettering myself by being humble, but still living big in a small space. So let me back up a little and give you the full story. During the summer of 2020, my ex-partner of 11 years and I parted ways. I moved out and went to stay with my mom until I could figure out what I wanted to do. My mother was living alone in an almost 4,000 square foot house that consisted of a formal living room, dining room, family room, kitchen, half bath, and that's just the downstairs. Upstairs there were 4 bedrooms, 2 full baths, and a large office. In the back of the house was a beautifully landscaped yard with an in-ground swimming pool. My father passed away in 2007, and my mother had been living in the house ever since and maintaining it. And that's a lot of work. On top of that, she's always had a boxer living with her to keep her company. No, I'm not talking about a competitive boxer. I'm talking about a dog. I knew when something happened to my dad, my mom would be devastated. And I didn't really know what to expect as far as how she would react or what the aftermath of losing him would do to her. But I have to say, she's done pretty darn well on her own, and I commend her for that. But I knew too that she would get lonely, and I usually made it a point to call her every day. I ended up staying with her for 5 months. I knew I wanted to get my own place, but wasn't sure where, and it was a scary feeling. It was basically the first time I would be living on my own, ever. Throughout my life, I had either lived at home or had a roommate or lived with a partner. This was me flying solo. It was intimidating, but I also knew I could do it. If I could run my own business and be successful at it for 14 years, I could surely live on my own. So back to late last year, I was going to be moving back into my old bedroom. It worked the last time because I knew I was going into it as a temporary situation, and I tried to have that same thought process this time. So my new plan is to stay through the summer and then start looking for a new place. But my challenge with living here has been to make this situation as comfortable as possible. Mom had turned my old bedroom into a guest room. It's a decent-sized room with a small walk-in closet and has a vanity area off to the side that connects to a bathroom, then connects to another vanity area, which connects to another bedroom. Mom had started using my closet for storing Christmas decorations. The first thing I had to do was get everything out of there, find a place for it, and clear it out for my clothes. And I have a lot of clothes. The room had a small little quaint desk and a chair, but since I work from home, I have to have a desk that's both practical and comfortable. Plus, I like having 2 big monitors, and they definitely wouldn't fit on that small desk. So I bought an L-shaped desk, but I didn't put it in a corner. You see, I believe in feng shui, and that if you have a desk in a room, it should be facing the door, but not directly. So I aimed it to where one side is against the wall and the other side faces the door. Kind of. There's also a TV cabinet in there, but there's no TV. In the apartment, I had 3 TVs, and I loved my 65-inch the best. But the problem was, it wouldn't fit inside this cabinet. So where did I end up putting it? I put it above the desk, on top of the hutch. And what went in the TV cabinet? My record player and records, as well as other odds and ends. There was already a full-size bed in here, which I kept since this is temporary, but man, I sure miss my sleep number. it's still in storage and I may still get it out at some point. I also put a chair in here so I could sit there and watch TV. This vanity area serves a couple of purposes. It's of course where I get ready in the morning, fix my hair, choose a cologne, deodorant, brush teeth, etc. But I've also got a few things stashed over here as well. And here is the bathroom, and then the other vanity room I also use for storage. So I decided I needed a little touch of coolness in my room, and it hit me right in the middle of putting this episode together. And I remembered that I had these light panels that I bought a couple of years ago. They're from a company called Nanoleaf, and these are called the light panels. Now, basically you can connect these together and then it'll make different color light patterns. You can do all kinds of things with, you can put it on the wall. But I started thinking, there's this little ceiling right here that kind of comes to a point. What if I did a row of them just going right across this way, all the way to the other side? And I thought that could be something really cool to have on at night when I'm going to sleep, some kind of little night light, something to watch. I used to have them in my apartment and I loved them. I would use these little double-sided stickums from 3M. I've never used it on the ceiling before, so this is going to be kind of interesting. I'm going to use more than I would ordinarily, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, these are light panels. I bought these a few years ago. Nanoleaf doesn't make these anymore. They've actually updated them, but you know, I spent enough money on these when I bought them originally. I'm not going to replace them with something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back of one here. I'm going to open up this pack. Now I'm going to put a bunch of them on. Usually I would put maybe 2 on each panel, but I'm going to put probably 4. So I'm going to release the adhesive here. And I'm going to carefully put it in place here. And I'm just going to push up on where the adhesive is to where it'll make a connection and stick. All right. And we've got it up there. So each of the panels are connected by these little link connectors here. What I'm going to end up doing is the next one is going to go right here. So I'm going to go ahead and slip. You can't really see it, but there's a little indentation on each side. And I'm going to slip this in, and it's in there good. And that's actually staying on the ceiling really well. And then I'm going to take the next panel and get it all stickied up. This is going to look really, really cool once it's done. I've always had a thing for lights. I don't know why. Now this is where it's going to get tricky. I've got to be able to slip this one into that slot without the adhesive taking hold of the wall. So this is where it gets a little tricky, but I think I got it. So now that there's a connection between each light or panel, the reason I'm putting a lot of adhesive on there is because if one gives way, since they're all connected, the others might give way as well. And I'd hate to be sitting in this chair and they all give way. All right, we'll get the next one going here. Get another link. There we go. So now, just so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like, I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. So I'm going to see if I can plug this in right here. There we go. So you can see it starts out white, but then it's going to start changing colors, and then you can program it with your phone and kind of give it whatever kind of color you want. I think that looks really good. At least now you know how you can do it, and I will keep you updated on future videos if, for whatever reason, this does fall and it becomes a huge disaster. But I will let you know. Seeing my heavily detailed Lego model of my room is one thing, but hey, let's check out the actual room.
Give me any beat.
And the light panels are hanging up there strong. Haven't had any fall yet, so I think it was a success. And here's a little demonstration of what all it can do. And if I'm not mistaken by that expression, I think Puck approves of them. So, you can see that I was able to turn this small living space into a comfortable and practical area to live in. I was afraid I was going to see this kind of situation as a downgrade and would start missing what I used to have. But as I mentioned earlier, I remind myself that this is temporary, and that helps me and will continue to help me through the next few months. So staying humble and realizing it's not a bad thing to go back home is another way to be a better person. Plus it gives me a chance to spend time with Mom, which that's time I'll cherish always. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode, and we will see you next time. If you like the content of this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button to be notified when new videos are posted.